All right, guys. So we're back. Got another installment for you guys. In this video, I'm just going to answer the question: are players today more skilled than players of the past? And we're going to use a few metrics. Let me share screen real quick and show you what I'm talking about. So these are just current metrics that I use to share, that I want to share with you guys, that I want you guys to really pay attention to. So you have shooting. When I say shooting, primarily we're talking about 3-point shooting, because you have mid range, which includes that shooting as well. But these are just different aspects of the game that, as a player, you would, kind of focus on what makes a good player, right? So you have shooting, aka 3-point shooting, dribbling, and or ball handling. Which ball handling doesn't necessarily include dribbling, but we'll put all that in one scope. Passing. Obviously, if you can make good passes, you play good defense. I have a theory is certain things, and I'll get to that later. But so passing is one of them. These are two kind of tangible but intangible things that really don't necessarily have anything to do with basketball per se. But if you have them, they actually help you. That's athleticism, be it speed, herky jerk, what we call herky jerky, just real stop and go, explosiveness, and of course leaping. You got strength, which everybody knows what that is. Moving without the ball. It's another skill. How well do you move without the ball? We're going to talk about that. Screens. So, how well are you? What are you a good screen setter? Do you set good screens, or do you, not know how to set good screens? Now, I'm gonna just tell you these last two already off the rip. Last year, Greg Popovich said that he spent half of his practice one day teaching players how to set screens because they didn't know how to set a screen. And literally a couple of days ago, Anthony Edwards, a premier star who was saying that he would give Michael Jordan buckets, he literally said he cannot play the game the way he wants to play the game because they're double teaming him, and he doesn't like it. So his moving without the ball skills. Now, this is a guy who's right now, or up until, he's kind of falling back, but up until this season, up until like the beginning of the season, he was being mentioned as one of the guys that are going to be the future of the NBA because he had such a good playoff run. Then he just fell apart at the Western Conference Finals. But the way he played against certain teams, you just thought he was just so great of a player. Even when they beat the Denver Nuggets, I think he was talking trash. I think he had like 8 points, 12 points in certain games. But anyway, we're not going to go there. So he's whining about basically not knowing how to move without the ball, right? You got mid-range, which, most teams today don't really focus on a mid-range jump shot. That's not a skill. Not just that. There are a few guys that are pretty good at doing it. Shai Gilgeous Alexander comes to mind. But because of analytics, the mid-range game is almost a bad shot in today's offense, right? Even though you have a 65%, say you got a 62, 63% chance of hitting that shot, whereas you got a 40, 30, 37, 38 percent chance of hitting the three. They'd rather hit the three, shoot the three, right? And then you got the low post moves, which, I mean, now you're playing this small ball. A lot of teams aren't really focusing on playing out the post because they don't want you taking 2-point shots. Now, but these are the more skilled players. I'm going to keep going. You got wing defense, different from interior defense. Interior defense is, I remember when I was coming up as a player, big men would have an interior defense camp. They would spend an entire week doing a big man camp just focusing on interior defense or just focusing on low post moves and stuff. So and they would split that up. It was that big of a deal to know how to play in the post and how to play interior defense, how to play wing defense, how to deny passes, how to force the man to go where you want him to go, different things like that, right? So these players are more skilled today, even though Adam Silver himself said that they have literally stopped focusing on 50% of the game. They don't even play defense. Not only do they not play defense, this is the commissioner of the game told Kevin Garnett that he did that he doesn't want them playing defense. So this idea of being more skilled when you literally are ignoring 50% of the game, where a guy who is 40-some years old, literally telling people, LeBron James just turned 40, just said he thinks he could play another 5 to 7 years because the game is not physical. The game is not, they don't play defense. And he can stand around on defense, and we can see him right there standing around on defense, screaming because his man scored and pointing fingers at his teammates, and no one has anything to say. We've seen this, right? Thanks to Angry Old Hoops fan breaking down film, hours and hours of film. We've seen this guy consistently. That's the only way you can say that at 40 years old, that you think you can play another 5 to 7 years, is because you think you can play in a league where they're not hand checking, where they're not being physical, where you're not having to fight to get a rebound, where most of your rebounds are chase downs, where you literally box out 1.3 times a game. That's literally how many times he actually has to box out to get a rebound, right? These are the types of things we don't take into account. And, of course, rebounding is a skill. So that's another thing. Well, I guess it's, they're more skilled rebounders. They're more skilled defenders, right? They're more skilled mid-range shooters. They're more skilled in the low post, right? When you look at the totality of what the game of basketball is, and you get past just dribbling and shooting, right? Let's take out the three-point shooting, and let's take out ball handling. What else do they dominate in? And I'm about to show you they're not better shooters. They actually work just as, they're actually right on par with the shooters of the 90s. But I just did that to show you guys, these guys are not more skilled. It is a myth. They're not more skilled basketball players. So let me see if I can, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share screen again. But this time I'm going to share screen with two different windows. Let's see. Right here. All right, so what you see right here is the last season of 2022-2023, 2023-2024 NBA season. The teams averaged 114.2 points per game, league average. The worst team in the NBA averaged 105. That was the Memphis Grizzlies. The three-point percentage, because they're supposed to be better three-point shooters than they were in the 90s, 36.6%. Right? So I want you to remember those numbers. Now let's go back to the 97-98 season. Three-point percentage, 34.6. So 3 points, but they averaged 95 points a game on average. The highest team in the league at that time was the Los Angeles Lakers. They were 105 points per game. So the Memphis Grizzlies, the worst team in the league, averages more points than the best team in the league in 1997-98 season. Let's do something. Let's go back a couple of years. I want to go back to I think it was 95-96 season. Because I want you to see something in three-point percentages. This year they averaged right on par, 36.7, and this is 36.6. So they had better shooting percentages back during this season. So there are seasons in the 90s. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next season, 96, 97. They shot 36%. So, I mean, what we're noticing and what you won't hear is that these guys, you hear that they're better shooters. Well, the math doesn't say so. They're not better shooters. Well, they're just better players, because look at the average field goal percentage in the 90s. They only averaged 45% from the field. These guys average, 47. Ooh, that's still on par. That's pretty bad. I didn't know that. So you're looking at 47%. So they right on par field goal percentage, but they're averaging more points because they're taking more threes. Right? They're shooting more threes, right? They're literally per game attempting 35 threes a game, whereas in the 90s, in that 90, 95, 96, 96, 97, in that 96, 97 season, they only attempted less than half of that. In fact, let's go back to the 95 season. 95, 96. Yeah, still around 16. So the field goal percentages were not really any different. So are they? So let's go ahead and scratch this whole better shooters. We can go ahead and scratch that. They're not better shooters. That's just the bottom line. Now, some of this stuff you have to go into conjecture and say, okay, they're better ball handlers though, because they you got big guys 6'9", 6'10" that can run point now. Well, that's not exactly true, because there were 6'8", 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" point guards like Hardaway and guys that were great ball players back in the day. If you don't ask a Vin Baker from the Seattle Supersonics from back in the day to average to dribble, and you got him running small forward and he's doing other things, then that's what it is. I don't think that means you're better, because this is the thing you got to understand. How many of these guys are really good ball handlers today if they were getting hand checked? If you could hand check them, if you could get up as a defender in these guys' faces and put your hands on them like they could in the 90s, would these guys be as good a ball handlers as they are today? Would Victor Wembanyama, he can put the ball on the floor. I'm not going to say he can't. He can put the ball on the floor. But would Wemby be as effective as a ball handler if you could put your hands on him, given how weak he is? Given what I'm saying, and I saw a video by I forget that guy's name. This guy that wanted to try to say we're done with the 90s, this YouTuber. I think a lot of these YouTubers are on deck with Clutch Sports with some of the arguments they make. And so he's saying that these guys just weren't that good. And one of the reasons he's saying that they weren't that good in the 90s, he literally said that at the beginning of his video, was that the reason they're not that good, they weren't that good in the 90s, they literally would dribble with their body turned to the side and literally cutting off their court awareness, court vision for the entire court, for half the court. Well, what he doesn't understand is when a guy can get up on you chest to chest and body you, you cannot dribble standing straight up. There are very few guys that can dribble like Jamal Crawford or Kyrie Irving, right? There are very few guys that can dribble standing straight up, looking at you, don't really have to bend their knees that much, and they real slick with the ball handling. Most ball players, even if they're a good ball handler, if a guy gets on them, Magic Johnson was a good ball handler, but if somebody got up on him, Magic had to protect the basketball. So you have to but the fact that you have YouTubers today that go back and watch footage of a guy dribbling up court and try to make an assessment about the entirety of a whole decade of basketball, not understanding the ins and outs of the way the game was played back then, and then he makes a sweeping statement saying that these guys were not that skilled back in the 90s. I saw video footage from years ago. I never forget this. When Kobe was in his heyday, I would never forget this. When Kobe was doing this thing, I saw video footage of a young guy, and this is what happens with young players. They see a guy from a previous generation. They say, well, this guy said literally, well, in the 90s, if you could dunk, you were an all-star. He literally said that. This was the type of disrespect that you see coming to older generations of ball players. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now, they're not better shooters. We see it right here in writing. They're not better shooters. The verdict remains to be seen if they're really better ball handlers. It really does. The verdict remains to be seen. Well, no, they better ball handlers. They can put the ball on the floor. These kids are coming up nowadays, they're not playing the traditional roles. And so in the traditional roles back in the day, the power forward didn't put the ball on the floor, or the center didn't put the ball on the floor until you played pickup. All that went out the window. I played pickup basketball more than I played organized. I played organized basketball, but I played pickup basketball 7 days a week, year round, pretty much. That was my thing, right? Wherever I went to play basketball, if you're big and you get the rebound, how many bigs you saw going coast to coast in the gym? That was not a new phenomenon. I played with Willie Mitchell from Michigan. Willie Mitchell was playing with me. We lost. We got beat to sleep. I was in Birmingham. And we got beat to sleep, got ran off the court. Willie Mitchell getting the rebound because he's Willie Mitchell. He trying to run. You got 2 or 3 guys that are better ball handlers than him, but he wants to run point because he can handle the ball. And we got beat real fairly handily and got kicked off the court, and it was a gym full of people. I was really upset. But the reason I'm not impressed with these guys today is because what you see in AAU and what you see in NBA in certain things, when you see all these bigs putting the ball on the floor, you saw it in the gyms in the 90s where guys was putting the ball on the floor. It's not like you didn't see a big guy that would put the ball on the floor in the 90s. Not like guys would get the ball and chin the ball and wait for the point guard and then go walk up and run the trailer behind the point guard. It wasn't like we didn't play that way. When you play pickup, and if it's 30 people on the sideline and y'all getting beat and the big man get the rebound, everybody just fill the lane. We just go. If he can handle it, he can handle it. If he can't, somebody will come get it from him. But 9 times out of 10, most guys I played with that were north of 6'8", they'll get the rebound. If they could put it on the floor, they would. It's just that we never saw anybody that was allowed to do that. They were not allowed. The big man in the 90s was not allowed to do that. But to say that they're better ball handlers today than they are back then, 2 things. Are they being hand checked? No. Do they have the freedom of movement in play? Yes. So you can't touch him at all. So now you got guys that just play. I mean, when I played ball in my day, if you wasn't bodying the man and putting your hand and putting that forearm on him and trying to play some D, you wasn't playing defense. That's we call that matador defense. That's why these guys are able to stand straight up and throw a move and blow by a guy now, because he can't get down, get wide, and put his forearm on him and force him where he wanted to go. So now you got guys, if that's it, listen, if I played in a situation where a guy couldn't touch me, man, you in trouble. And that's what you see with guys like Dame Lillard and James Harden. These guys, they were able to benefit from the freedom of movement, flopping in different situations. The flopping was introduced by Vlade Divac, right? And I remember people dragging him for doing it, saying it was weak, and these European players are flopping. They used to talk like that. Then it caught on with the American players. They were flopping. There's a difference in selling the foul and flopping. Coaches tell you sell the foul. When you go in there, he hits you, you got to sell the foul. But if you go in there and the dude ain't touch you at all and you just, like LeBron does or other people, then that's not good for the game of basketball, because you're not being a real true competitor. So let's go back to this chart again. So dribbling, I'm just going to put a question mark here because we really don't know. There's really no way you can say, better yet, let's let them have it. Let's let them have it. Let's let them have ball handling. Right? Passing is another thing. What type of offense do you have to be a better passer in? An offense where you come down and jack a 3 and you only just passing somebody after they ran off a screen, or somebody running a triangle offense, or an offense where you got guys in the post and you have to make interior post passes, or you have to making an interior post pass. If you got to be careful, because if the guy's a good defender, he's going to get his hands on it, which will lead to more turnovers. So you're going to have more turnovers when you're when you're forced to run in a real offense where you're trying to get a good shot. moving the ball around till you get a good shot. That the more times you pass, the more times you'll have turnovers, the more times it's harder. I think it's easy if you come down, dribble. 4 seconds left. Back 4 steps, I get to travel 4 or 5 steps back and shoot a jump shot. That's not the same. That's James Harden's offense. That's LeBron James's offense. That's any offense with LeBron James. You just got to stand around on the wing and wait for the jump shot. I'm sorry, I don't think we have – the verdict is really not out on if they're better passers. So we're going to leave that up there. We're going to put a question mark right here. Are they better passers? We don't know. Right? That's just a guesstimation at best. Athleticism. I don't know why we could say guys are more athletic now. I really don't. I think this is my personal opinion. I think in an era where everybody was trying to dunk on people and attack the rim, and you had to get close into the paint and get over and shoot shots over taller, bigger players, and more, it led to more athleticism than it would today, where the lane's wide open. So a guy like Steph Curry with probably a 25-inch vertical can go through the lane and just lay the ball up, and it's nothing. Could he do that over Dikembe Mutombo if in an interior where, first of all, he wouldn't be able to do that in that era. And this is, I hate to say this, I hate to bust people's bubble. Steph Curry would not be Steph Curry in the 90s. Steph Curry maybe would be an all-star. Maybe. Come on, man, you tripping. I'm going to tell you why. Steph Curry struggled in the playoffs with Matthew Dellavedova from Australia. How did he play him? Physical. Got in his chest. The ref wasn't calling the calls that much back in 2015. And he struggled. That's why Andre Iguodala got the finals MVP. Yeah, he had a couple of games. He had 1 or 2 good games, but he really was dominated by that guy. Steph Curry struggles with physical defenses. Steph Curry is arguably the greatest player in this situation right now. I mean, you could make the case that he was really the greatest player in the 20 teens. I mean, the man got 4 championships. I mean, you really can make the case that he was greater than LeBron James because he technically did it with less help, if we're being honest. Right? If we're being honest, he won championships with less help than LeBron James did. So you can make the case that Steph actually was greater than LeBron in his own era. Right? But I'm not going to go there. Moving without the ball. I mean, we just had one of the premier players in the league say he couldn't move without the ball. Talk about he couldn't get his shot off. He can't be what he want to be. I think it's safe to say that this guy's supposed to be a guy who the NBA has pushed as a great player, as an athlete, as a great all-around player. So he doesn't move without the ball. So we'll take that out of the equation. And athleticism, I'm going to put a question mark there. Strength, I mean, we ain't going to even play these games. Of course not. There's no need to be strong. You got it. Why you need strength? You got guys like Draymond Green out here bullying people. Somebody would have been picked Draymond Green up in the 90s and threw him on his neck. Easily. But anyway, screen setting. Well, we got Greg Popovich literally saying that guys couldn't set screens. He had to teach people how to set screens in practice. So I think it's safe to say that this one was scratched out. There is no mid-range game. That's considered a bad shot. That's a scratch out. They don't take low post shots. That's a scratch out. Okay. We don't play defense because we have the freedom of movement. Okay, that's gone. Rebounding. Well, and you see this with LeBron James, right? Every time LeBron James attacks the basket, people have to stand there and let him get to the lane. You have to. You cannot press him on a shot. You can't, to make his shot more difficult. He just has to miss the shot. That's the only way. He just has to miss the shot. Otherwise, he's not going to, So I honestly, I'm going to just put a question mark about rebounding. We'll leave question marks where they need to be put, right? Rebounding, maybe. Okay, we don't know. I'm sorry. I think that they actually were more physical in the 90s, and by just the sheer fact that they played interior defense, rebounding was actually more difficult, and rebounders were more hard-earned in the 90s. So let me take that back. I'm sorry. Well, you're biased. No, you can look at the film and see these guys in an all-star game battling over rebounds, bro. In an all-star game. Interior defense, they don't play defense. First of all, there is no interior moves. There are no interior moves, and they're not playing interior defense. And then you got screen setting. Well, we already talked about that. I mean, I can make the case that everything that they say that this league is weaker in every way imaginable. I can. I can make the case that this league is weaker in every way imaginable. I'm going to show you one final way. This is this season right here, per game. This is last year. League leaders. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should have hit all NBA. There we go, all NBA. So I want y'all to look at something. LeBron James is third team all NBA. He has Anthony Davis, who's second team all NBA and first team all defense. What do you think Michael Jordan would have done at the Wizards with a second team all NBA and first team all NBA Anthony Davis? What would he have done? What would he have done with D'Angelo Russell getting points off the bench, with Austin Reeves and all these other role players, Rui Hachimura? What type of leadership would he have had? Well, we don't have to guess. We don't? No, we don't have to guess at all. I'll show you. We don't have to guess. We'll see what happened when Michael Jordan came in. Okay, let's go down here. Michael Jordan. Okay, that's the MVP. We're going to go to his Wizards years. This is the Wizards team right here. This is the 2001-2002 roster. Their rating. Where were they rated? Let me see. Offensive rating, defensive rating. They were 21st in the league in defense. You can see that, right? This is what the year Mike came. They were last in the league year prior. The next year, they were 18th in the league, middle of the pack. Now, this is the year he played 82 games. But I want to show y'all something. Let's look at these rosters. You got Michael Jordan. You got Courtney Alexander, Kwame Brown, Hubert Davis, Rip Hamilton. You got Brendan Haywood, Popeye Jones, Christian Laettner, Tyrone Lue, Tyrone Nesby, Bobby Simmons, Jahidi White, Etan Thomas, and Chris Whitney. Right? So you got these guys. They are the players on this team. This is with Michael Jordan. Previous season, let's look at the roster. Because all they did was add Michael Jordan. That's all they did. Courtney Alexander, they had Calvin Booth. Hubert Davis was still there. I don't know who that guy is. Rip Hamilton, Juwan Howard was there. They were last in defense. Popeye Jones. So they lost a lot of players. They had Mitch Richmond, LaRon Prophet, Cherokee Parks out of Duke, Tyrone Nesby, Felipe Lopez, Christian Laettner was there. Gerard King, Popeye Jones was there. We had Jahidi White was there. Rod Strickland was there out of DePaul. You had Mike Smith. I mean, this is so technically they didn't really add any real players. They were losing. All they added, they lost a lot of players and added Michael Jordan. There's nobody of significance added to this team. Mike came in and moved them from last in the league up 8 slots. And when he came back that last year when he played 82 games, they were a middle of the pack defense. Come on, man. This is acting up. So let me do this again. There we go. They didn't really have that many pieces on this team, man. They had Stackhouse, who wasn't really known for defense. So added him defensively, but he never could step up and take over on that team. And that's it. Juan Dixon, Larry Hughes. What if, just hear me out. What if I put Anthony Davis on here and give him a former All-Star, D'Angelo Russell? What do you think would happen? Because this team, and let me go back. I'm going to go back. And what I'm doing right now is I'm talking about leadership and the type of leadership he brought to that locker room and how those guys were really, looking at, because he only played 53 games that year. Didn't even start 7 of them, right? I mean, out of the 60. So if you look at those games and look at what he did, this is his Wizards year. This is comparable to the year of LeBron, what LeBron has right now. LeBron, he didn't have the talent. But what you constantly see from people is people tearing down Michael Jordan saying, well, at this age, Michael didn't have this. At this age, look at the roster. Not one of those guys is even a Hall of Famer, I don't think. I don't even know if Rip Hamilton's a Hall of Famer. He might be. I don't know. Rip Hamilton might be a Hall of Famer. Maybe. That's a big maybe. Other than that, I don't think he really had anything else after that. None of these guys are Hall of Famers, man. Stackhouse, he had one or two good years. That's it. He didn't have nobody. He didn't have no all-stars. Let me hold on. Were these guys even all-stars? Let's see. Mike was the only all-star on the team. Nobody else was even an all-star, man. Come on, bro. This is what y'all want to say is Michael Jordan wasn't that good. He didn't have anything on that team. He did that to try to get ownership. That's what he was trying to do. He's the only all-star on his team. So when you look at a guy that has, in LeBron James, that has all his help, and literally, I mean, it's a video of him. It's a video of him after his 21st season, just not passing Michael Jordan in 30-point games, which is laughable. It's laughable when you really look at it. Like, oh, you're a LeBron hater. That's the name of the channel. But let me show you something. Guys, this man's numbers are unheard of. Y'all saw that in my other video. I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to keep doing videos from time to time if I want to do a subject. But let me go. I just wanted to come up here and just break down why today's players are not as skilled as other players from other generations. They're not. They're just not. We don't know how good of a ball handler you are until I can treat you the same way I can treat that other guy. If Michael Jordan was in an era where they could not hand check him, he had freedom of movement, and he was averaging 30, 37 points, not shooting threes. I mean, come on, man. Well, Mike really wasn't a good three-point shooter. Really? Well, it's funny because I'm looking right here, and at his three-point field goal percentage, let me look at it. That's field goal percentage, 3-point field goal percentage, 3-point percentage. He shot 42.7, then he shot 50% he shot 50% when he came out of retirement, so we're going to let that slide. But Mike shot 42, 43%. So it wasn't like he was just, not doing well. If he wanted to, we all know the clip of him saying, hey, I don't want to focus on the three because that takes away from the rest of other parts of my game. And, I don't want to just rely on the three-point shot because what if it's not falling? Facts, which is what you see today. Anyway, guys, God bless y'all. Have a good one.